Leroy Carhart doing a late-term abortion, apparently 33 weeks.
Yes.
What I understand, 33-week abortion. All those don't happen though.
Right.
Wow. And they're perfectly safe and legal. Well, anyway, he got him a twofer that day. He killed not only the unborn baby, he killed the mom. And this young woman, beautiful young woman, not that it makes any difference that she was attractive, but young school teacher, Jennifer Morbelli, 33 weeks pregnant, and she was, what, 29 years old, I think?
29 years old, married her college sweetheart. They had just bought a house in White Plains, New York. Kind of a picture-perfect life. She's a kindergarten teacher. The kids loved her, loved by everybody. She gets some news from her, I guess, geneticist or OBGYN. Right. Says that her baby is experiencing some sort of seizures. And we know that oftentimes there's these wrongful birth lawsuits.
Right.
For those people that don't know that, it means that if your baby is born with some genetic, quote, defect, and your doctor doesn't advise you to have an abortion, he or she could be sued.
Right.
So they've got some terrible advice. They go down and see the most infamous abortionist in the nation, possibly the world, Leroy Carhart in Maryland. And he performs this, or commits really, this horrific, gruesome late-term abortion on a baby that's 33 weeks old. Baby could be delivered right then and there and
right.
probably never even see the inside of an ICU. And unfortunately, after this 3-day procedure, tragically, she bled to death inside a local emergency room while Carhart had already flown home. And you and I talked about this, Mark. This is another example of depraved indifference,
yep.
Which is a second-degree murder charge. Irregardless of whether or not Carhart meant to kill her, he obviously meant to kill the baby, but through his reckless abandonment of his patient, this woman died, and he should be charged with second-degree murder.
Yeah, well, hold your breath.
We're working for it.
I know.
I'm not going to be.
I know.
I'm going to work as hard as I can to see that this man is charged.
I want to reiterate something that Troy said. You know, this woman was 33 weeks along.
Right.
3 more weeks, she would have been considered full term. This doctor left her. Imagine if you delivered a baby full term, how you would be treated in a hospital. You would stay there overnight at least,
right.
be given care, make sure that you weren't bleeding, any problems. She was let go after her delivery, and he left town, and he has no hospital privileges anywhere, and he left no doctor on call. You know, abortion aside, that is just negligence at its
But this
worst.
is what these people are allowed to get away with, and we
Right.
see this time after time after time after time. And you know, the interesting thing here is if you get involved in these malpractice cases like we do here, and you look at the facts in these situations where these women die, or they're left in a nursing home, or they're left in persistent vegetative states or whatever, the common theme is that had a competent physician been involved in this, it probably would not have happened.
Right.
But because of the odor and the stench associated with abortion, which is never going to go away, I don't care what they say, it's never going to go away. Because of that, they get the dregs, the washouts, the losers of medicine. These are the moral degenerates of the medical community. Nobody goes to medical school to say, I want to work at Planned Parenthood. This is where you wind up when your legitimate medical career is in tatters, or you could never get one started, or whatever it might be. Or no insurance company.
These guys are just outright incompetent.
They're quacks.
They all are.
And this is where they wind up, and so these are the kind of things they do, and we shouldn't be surprised that this is what happened.
We're not surprised, but we should never chalk it up to just that's what happens.
Right.
I think that as we are progressing, the pro-life movement is progressing down the road to a complete abolition of abortion. Cases like this are more shocking to the public than they were 10 or 20 years ago. I remember years ago there was an abortionist in San Diego that killed a woman inadvertently during a botched abortion. He was so scared of what was going to happen to him that he put her in the trunk of her car, his car, and dumped her in East County, San Diego.
Right.
And it made kind of a little blurb in the newspaper. I think he pled guilty to some minor charge and is probably still killing babies today.
Right.
But this case, because this is 2013, and we've made such inroads in the pro-life movement to really show the shock and awe of what happens in the abortion industry, has made the Washington Post, Fox News, it's all over the internet. The outrage, I think, is just beginning. And so I think there's a real opportunity to use this horrific tragedy, and by the way, happened on the same day that Michael Schwartz was buried less than 300 yards from that church.
Wow.
To make this an example and to put Leroy Carhart out of business once and for all.
Let me make an point, though. Something that you just brought up here is important about why the one in San Diego didn't get covered. And we've seen thousands of those in the past, right, that didn't get covered, and now this one does. I think the difference is the internet.
Yep.
Because the mainstream, the social, left-stream media in this country, the godless degenerates that run it, they understand that they now can't afford not to cover this, because once it gets on the internet,
that's exactly it.
The people are going to say, well, why didn't Washington Post cover this, or why didn't the New York Times cover this? So they're kind of forced to do it. The internet has changed all of this.
And we've changed. We've become more savvy on how to control the media. We found out on a Thursday night, we made a decision in a conference call in the middle of the night what we're going to do on Friday, and we were controlling the narrative.
Right.
He who frames the debate, or he who frames the argument wins the debate, and that's what we did.
Well, Troy, I think there's something else y'all did too, and Pat Mahoney and you. When Carhart moved into that community, you went there and let everybody know, guys, y'all got a problem.
Yes.
This guy's no good. He's dangerous. This is what he's already done. Bam, 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 bam. And people came out for
And now he's done it again.
People came out. And I think people being forewarned that he was this bad, I think it's had an effect. And
we told him 2 years ago, someone will die. And when they die, here's what we're going to do.